don't ever, the most destructive thought that I've ever had, the worst thing that I've ever said to myself in my life. And I remember the first day that I've ever said this out loud to anybody, ever. My BM's dad, when we moved down to Oklahoma, um, her dad, Steve, he asked me, I can't even remember what he asked me, like, why don't you want to go to the party? Or why don't you want to go inside and just talk to everybody? I said, because people don't like me. And he looked at me and he said, that's not good to say. Now, at the time, I haven't seen or spoken to Steve since 2015 or something like that, right? But at the end of the day, I didn't have respect for him because how his wife treated him. I didn't have respect for him because it was grown people living in his home and he was funding their bumness. I didn't have respect for him for a plethora of reasons, but those two things. But for him to say that he was a likable guy, he had friends, he had a wife, he had, all kind of cool stuff, a good job. I respect the fact that he took care of his business and he was a very empathetic guy. That's what I respect. The line, but whatever the case may be, for somebody who knew where he stood in life as far as his respect levels, he recognized that was something that I shouldn't be saying. That's something that nobody should say. Nobody likes me. I don't like people, and people don't like me. Now, if you say that to yourself, that's not cool. You have to find the opposing thought loop and say that in the mirror. It's gonna make you uncomfortable, but at the end of the day, the more you say it out loud, the more you look at yourself in the mirror and say it, the easier it's gonna be to accept. People do like you. I like you. If I met you in person, I'll probably like you. But a lot of times, and if you've never had a job and if nobody's ever showed you empathy and you're lying in your deathbed right now because if you're in the street, home, of course, maybe you don't have the evidence that people like you. But it's 7 billion people in this world. You're thinking so small. So small. That's why you feel like nobody likes you, because all you do is think about your fucking self. It's not about people necessarily liking you. Are you a likable person? Would you want to be around you? Would you want to have a conversation with you? If the answer is no, then you probably don't know who you are. Read. Ask yourself why you do what you do. Ask yourself why you do what you do, where it comes from. It's not to play the blame game and blame your mom, blame your parents, and put on some XXX Tentacion and start cutting yourself. That's not what that's for. But at the end of the day, bro, I would venture to say, 7 billion is a lot of 8 billion people. Probably 0.4% of 0.04% of the world will like you. I think that's like more than 1 million people. More than 1 million people. If you consistently, constantly on a daily interact with people, start conversations, it might be hard at first, but eventually if you don't have friends, bro, my issue was, I had an identity crisis for so long, which a lot of us do. But when you couple that with drugs and alcohol, identity crisis is the worst thing to have when you're abusing substances all the time. The reason that it was so hard for me to accept myself is because I had an identity crisis, and the people who liked me, I couldn't identify with. Because I'll tell you where it started, and you might even relate to this. At some point, I was like the super duper cool kid because I always had my family around me. I have a big family, and most of the family at the time was older than me. All my little cousins were like either not born yet or they're in diapers at the time. At some point, I was the cool kid. I was popular at all the schools I went to. At first, me traveling all around Chicago and going to all these different schools didn't really necessarily affect me until it affected me. My cousin passed away. I began to get depressed and I lost my coolness, right? From there, I still identified as a cool kid, but I was so depressed. I stopped seeing my family as much. You know what I mean? And ultimately I moved to Atlanta and stopped seeing my family at all. So now I'm not socializing with anybody that I know. Even my friends at school didn't live in the same county as me in Atlanta. Atlanta's not big, but everybody's parents have a job. So when people are socializing, they're not thinking about driving 15, 20 minutes away to go to their friend's house. So they're not thinking about Aaron. They might ask where he is, but oh yeah, Aaron lives in Sandy Springs. You guys live in Dunwoody and Chamblee. They live over here. Oh, they live on the east. I live on the north. So, or no, that was more. That was more east. So I began to basically isolate at no fault of my own. But then middle school, I would be going to school, and still in my mind, I'm in 6th, 7th grade. I'm still thinking I'm the cool kid from the 3rd and 4th grade. I'm depressed, I'm nerdy, I'm reading a lot, I have a lot of time to myself, I'm playing video games, not really going outside. I don't have the same habits as I had when I was in Chicago, right? So I still think I'm the cool kid, but I'm not doing the things that made me cool, that made me feel cool. So I'm not giving off that same energy. I don't have the same personality, but I still think of myself as that, right? But at the end of the day, all the people that I was attracting, bro, were nerds and weirdos and people who didn't have friends. When I identified with a person that had a lot of friends, that had a lot of family, but I didn't. And then when I would see these people, I'm like, nigga, why would I be friends with you? Well, I could be friends with that guy sitting at the table while all these girls and everybody laughing around him and people praising him for playing a good game last night. You get what I'm saying? That's when it hit me at some point, like, all these people think they have the audacity to try to be friends with the cool Aaron Moses. I wasn't Aaron Moses at the time, but little Aaron, the coolness, cool guy. When I didn't stop to think, all these friends, all these weird people, all these nerds, all these guys with no friends, think they could be friends with you because that's who you are now. You're not in Chicago anymore. You're not around your friends. You don't have that same coolness. You don't socialize. You don't go outside. You don't talk to people like that. You do what they do. They stay in the house and play video games and read comic books and draw and listen to CDs. That's what you do. That's why they think they could talk to you because nigga, this is you. You don't play football like the football players. That's why the football players don't wanna fuck with you. You don't have females coming up to you telling you how cool you are because you're not. That's why the females that do that to the football players don't want to fuck with you. You get what I'm saying? That's where it started for me, like, damn, the people that I like don't like me. But the people that I don't like love me, and I could have made my own little cult or my own little gang or whatever. And I chose not to because I was like, well, shit, if you like me, then that means I'm doing something wrong. And if they don't like me, that means I'm doing something wrong. So I'm to myself, nobody likes me. Because you're a nobody and you like me, and none of them like me, and they're somebody to me. But, damn, this went a whole different direction. But whoever likes you or whoever doesn't like you, you gotta like you first, bro. And if you're not attracting the people that you think you deserve to attract, then you gotta learn what they learn. You gotta start from the bottom, bro. If you wanna be friends with Lil Durk, and shout out to Carl for this. If you wanna be friends with Lil Durk, bro, you're not Lil Durk. You might think you're Lil Durk, but you're not. You gotta befriend the dude that's walking all the way behind Lil Durk. He's in his entourage, but he hasn't had a personal conversation with Lil Durk for more than 5 seconds. Then you be friends with him. Then be friends with the person who had a conversation with Lil Durk for 10 seconds. Then be friends. Then you adapt some of those skills and some of those personality traits. Still be yourself though, but calibrate yourself. Then you be friends with the person who's had a whole minute conversation, 30-minute conversation, an hour conversation, somebody who has Lil Durk's personal Instagram that nobody even knows about. Then you be friends with him. Then you be friends with all his friends. One of those people has Lil Durk's phone number. And this is not a reference to the cool guy. This is the reference to the you that you want to be, the you that you feel like you deserve to be, the you that you feel like you are entitled to be, the you that is still you, but the perfect you, your higher self, so to say. But this went in a million different directions. It is what it is, it's not what it's not. If you felt anything from this message, man, make sure you hit that like button, comment below what you want me to make a video about next, man. And I want to say thank you, because if I wouldn't, that was a lot. That was a lot that I put out, and I needed to get all that off my chest. But it is what it is, not what it's not. It's Aaron Moses. I'm the band, you the man, we remain together. Man, life is in the breath. Appreciate yourself. Love yourself. Work on yourself. Work with yourself. Show yourself gratitude. Thank yourself. Take care of yourself. Peace.